A big-budget Hollywood movie is a huge team effort. Every detail of the production is attended to by a group of specialists, all of them experts in their field. And of course, the scripts are written, polished, and repolished over and over again. Movies are some of the most quotable forms of media out there, with lines getting stuck in our heads, and we just love to use them in our daily lives. But even the most polished scripts can be changed on the fly if the actors feel creative. It's hard to believe that some of our favorite movie moments weren't planned out from the start, but you'd be surprised to learn how many unforgettable scenes were made up on the spot. With more than 20 films in its catalog and several $billion reaped from the global box office, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a Hollywood juggernaut. It stands to reason that a franchise this successful must have cracked the script writing code, delivering laugh-out-loud dialogue and memorable moments with machine-like precision. Yet, with all due credit to the MCU screenwriters, some of the series' most standout bits of dialogue never appeared in any screenplay. Let's have a look at 10 Marvel movie scenes that were completely improvised. Fans rejoiced when Disney and Sony reached an agreement to allow Spider-Man to swing into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Peter Parker made his first official appearance in 2016's Captain America Civil War. The DVD commentary on Spider-Man Homecoming revealed that in the scene where Tony Stark is in Peter Parker's bedroom, Tom Holland completely blanked on his blocking. During the scene in which Tony Stark reveals he knows Peter's secret, he chides the young man to move his leg so that he can sit beside him. It's a funny little moment, and yet another instance of Robert Downey Jr.'s signature ad-libbing. Rather than cut the scene to remind him where to move, Robert Downey Jr. simply ad-libbed the line, "I'm gonna sit here so you move the leg." In the commentary, the producers reiterated just how talented Robert Downey Jr. is, because not only did he use the line to help out the young Holland, but he made it entertaining and fun. While critics largely dismiss Thor: The Dark World as a lesser MCU entry, there is one moment that's almost guaranteed to bring a smile to viewers' faces, but also shows that Chris Hemsworth is actually hilarious in real life. When Jane and Thor return from Asgard, Thor sees her coat hanger when he walks in and just simply hangs up Mjolnir. Apparently, Hemsworth just thought it would be funny, and he was right. When promoting Ragnarok, Kevin Feige explained they wanted to utilize his comedic timing a little more in the third film, referencing the improvised moment. This tiny moment has a major impact on Thor's follow-up film, which unlike its predecessor is considered one of the best installments in the franchise. It might have been one of the more boring post-credit scenes, but the simplicity of the shawarma scene left a lasting impression in MCU history. Post-credit scenes are the MCU's oldest tradition, and The Avengers was the first movie to have two such scenes, including the most absurd one to date, showing the Avengers silently eating shawarma in a semi-destroyed restaurant. The story of its creation is even more absurd. The scene is all thanks to Robert Downey Jr.'s improvised line at the end of The Avengers, when he almost dies and suggests taking the day off and trying the shawarma place down the street. The post-credit scene was filmed only a few days before the film's release because producers changed direction and wanted to highlight Robert Downey Jr.'s funny line. Benedict Cumberbatch is one of those artists who can completely catch you off guard with his witty one-liners. He portrays the master of mystical arts, Doctor Strange, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In Doctor Strange, when Dr. Stephen Strange first meets Wong, the mononymous librarian, he compares him to other artists that go by a single moniker, such as Adele and Eminem, but Wong does not find this amusing. Later in the film, when Strange is gaining confidence in his abilities as a magician, he requests a book that Wong says he isn't ready for. Strange fires back with "Try me, Beyonce," but Wong simply doesn't reply to the line. So, Doctor Strange goes on by asking Wong if he'd ever heard of the singer because she's a huge star on Earth. He simply replies no. Wong said the line was totally improvised because Benedict Cumberbatch thought the name Wong seemed like Adele or Beyonce. The director loved the improvisation and had Wong listening to Beyonce in the next scene as research. During Infinity War's standoff between Iron Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord demands to know where Gamora is, unaware that Tony Stark has no idea who he's talking about. According to screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the exchange between Chris Pratt and Robert Downey Jr.'s characters was in the script, but Drax's existential follow-up was an ad-lib by actor Dave Bautista. Drax had already become a fan favorite by then, but his response to Star-Lord's "Where is Gamora?" and Tony Stark's "Who is Gamora?" was priceless. I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora? Dave Bautista later revealed that the line was improvised by him on the spot, and the Russo bros loved it so much they kept it in the movie.
I'm gonna ask you this one time. Where is Gamora?
Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
Tell me where the girl is, or I swear to you, I'm gonna French fry this little freak.
One of the most interesting dynamics in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is obviously between Peter Parker and Tony Stark. Obviously, it all stems from the Civil War, but the groundwork is really put in during Spider-Man Homecoming. When Peter returns from Germany, Tom Holland said he thought it'd be funny to hug Robert Downey Jr. towards the end of the scene to see how he'd react. So the two embrace in a weird hug in the car that we all loved, but Stark hated. According to Holland, the move was totally improvised because he just thought it would be funny to try and do it. But Robert Downey Jr.'s instincts are so good, then without skipping a beat, he brushed the hug off and said he was just getting the car door.
That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not there yet.
Bye.
We all know Peter Parker isn't the most confident person at times. Because of that iconic Parker luck, he constantly doubts himself. So when Nick Fury asks him to help fight the so-called elementals with Mysterio, his first reaction is to avoid the interdimensional threat because he's just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He tries to claim he's only a friendly neighborhood superhero, but Fury shuts that down immediately, saying, "Bitch, please, you've been to space." But when asked about whether the line was scripted or not, Samuel L. Jackson revealed that he couldn't remember. Jake Gyllenhaal, who played Mysterio in the film, was much more candid. It was improvised, the actor said of the line, and another in which Fury tells Spider-Man to do his job. "I'm here to attest that was improvised." The third entry in the Thor franchise is arguably Marvel's funniest and most ridiculous movie in the MCU. The main reason for that lies in Taika Waititi's eccentric nature. The director stated in an interview that about 80% of the movie was completely improvised. That is why there is so much hilariously absurd dialogue. One of the most memorable lines from the movie comes from the crowd-pleasing gladiator match with Hulk. While everyone else is shouting for the Asgardians' blood, he's not scared in the slightest, saying, "We know each other, he's a friend from work." Chris Hemsworth explained that a kid from the Make-A-Wish Foundation visited the Marvel set and was talking to the star in between takes. The young visitor suggested to the star, "You know, you should say he's a friend from work."
Hey! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
We all know that Tony Stark sacrificed himself in Endgame to defeat Thanos. However, there's plenty of improvisation that went into those final few moments. Originally, the Mad Titan was defeated without any clever lines from Robert Downey Jr., and it really troubled the Russo brothers. During a Q&A, the pair revealed that they couldn't figure out the final confrontation. It needed something to pay off Tony's quip-filled legacy. For some reason, Downey suddenly experienced some sort of epiphany and went completely off script, proclaiming the now iconic quote. Kevin Feige loved it and urged for the line to be present in the final product. This is just another piece of evidence to support the theory that Robert Downey Jr. really is Tony Stark. All that's left to confirm this is for the actor to come up and say the truth is, "I am Iron Man." Back in 2018, everyone was left heartbroken watching Thanos murder half of our favorite heroes. Well, it turns out Tom Holland threw some improvisation into Spider-Man's death to make the scene even more heartbreaking. If Why is Gamora represents the movie's lighter tone, I Don't Wanna Go is on the other side of the spectrum. No matter how alive he will be in the upcoming sequel, this scene struck a chord with audiences everywhere. What makes it so incredible is the fact that Tom Holland improvised the entire thing. Joe Russo told the star to act like you don't want to go, which seems a little obvious, but in the end it turned out it worked perfectly.
Now,
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Hey, please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Thank you for checking this video out, and don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe for new videos